Welcome back to the Family Ties podcast. My name is Julia Avery, and this is my sister and co-host, Kelly Ritchie.
Hi, Kelly here. Thank you for joining us today. Also joining us today is our little sister, Skylar Avery.
Woo!
Hi, Skylar.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, and it looks like you have a little friend with you.
I have my what did they call it? Your companion, your mental health dog. This is my mental health dog, Green Corn.
Well, we're very happy you agreed to be here. You know, we're going to tell you and the audience about today's case and get your genuine reaction to the story as we go along. Now, we would like to start bringing you, Skylar, onto more episodes in the future to get your insights and thoughts behind the mental health aspect and a fresh reaction to the stories. But boy, if you mess up today, I don't know. It's all up in the air.
I mean, you're up against perfection, right? Right here.
Clearly.
I see it.
No.
Scared.
So intimidating.
So scared.
I'm so excited. Tell me a story. I love
Okay.
stories.
Okay. Well, before we get started, we're going to invite each and every one of our viewers and listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, and share your thoughts and comments with us.
And for those of you that are listening to our podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you find your pods. We welcome your feedback as well as your suggestions and case recommendations. So please post away.
Absolutely. What are we talking about today, Julia?
So today we are going to discuss the late, but still very much alive, Missouri State Representative Rick Roeber, a self-described family man, devotional author, man of God, and last but not least, barefoot runner. He has openly discussed his past alcoholism and drug abuse, but more importantly, he has yet to admit to his intense rage and abusive tendencies. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's go back in time. So let's start in 1955 on December 20th. He is born in Lincoln, Nebraska. Moving to a year later, his family moves to Moody, Texas. He grows up inundated in church life, starting out at a First Methodist church. Rick claims that he was in and out of church during his early life, further claiming this gap in church going was what apparently led to his waywardness. He had a cheating father who could not support the family or hold down a job. They moved over 5 times during their youth, and which kind of led to like a lot of instability and potential catalyst for future drug use. So then moving on, we've got 1971 when he's 15 years old. He gets first saved at a Baptist church. And then 3 years later, when he turns 18, he joins the Navy, but shortly goes AWOL. 2 years later from that, he's 20. Now he's rededicating his life to the Lord. He attends Capernaum in Colorado, which is a Bible school. He receives a certificate in completion. Wow. Amazeballs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty school. There's more pictures, but what I like about this is not just everybody's rad style in the photo on the right, but I mean, it's a beautiful structure. But also, let's just say right off the bat that much like Trump University, Bible schools don't tend to have very accredited degree programs.
How does that look on a resume? I have a certificate from a Bible school. It's like,
excellent choice of investment. Cool. Anyway,
so even though, he starts off with this whole rededication to the Lord thing, the Bible school or certificate.
Yes, Skylar.
Sorry, I lost you.
You lost us.
I'm
Okay.
so sorry. Cut out.
Can you see all the snowy mountains? Like, this is
it's
close
really
to
pretty.
me.
It's really pretty. It's just a shame.
It is
just
super
a
beautiful,
shame.
though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
I mean,
Think about
I
being
might get
trapped up there with a bunch of Bible goers
Hmm.
No, thank
in the
you.
middle of what seems nowhere.
That actually sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
All right. It's lost its
Biggest
luster.
horror movie.
It has officially lost its luster. We can now move on.
Okay.
So, so he got rededicated. He went to Bible school, got a certificate of completion. Whoop. And then
Woohoo!
on and off again in the late 70s, he started dealing with homelessness, alcohol, and drug addiction. All right. So that's in 1976. 1984, he marries Michelle Keller, his first wife. They have 4 children together: Samson, Gabriel, and an adopted daughter, Anastasia, and then a son whose name is unknown. So that's in 1984. They marry. They have 4 kids.
Is the kid's name unknown, or is his actual name unknown, or is his name unknown?
Unknown Raber. Is that his name? Kelly, is that what you're proposing?
Well, I was just trying to get it straight because you said that the kid's name was unknown. Sorry, I'm a child.
No,
Okay.
no, you're not
Continue.
a child. I was playing fart sounds over the microphone a second ago for you. I'm the child. All right, moving on to 1990. Michelle and Rick separate. During the recent investigation that's been going on, like today's time, into abuse allegations for Rick, the committee found record and testimony that indicated one child being sexually abused at the age of 5 and the other at the age of 9. This was found while the committee was reviewing over 200 pages of documentation describing the alleged abuse and testimony from 5 witnesses, indicating that the sexual abuse occurred as early as 1990. So this is around the time that, he had his alcohol and drug abuse, and that that is probably also fueling these fits of rage and lack of good choices, I'd say. Like, I think it's probably breaking down his walls of moral character that may have existed before. I don't know. So that's 1990. So the ages of 5 and 9 are the kids when this is happening.
That's
So
fucked.
the sexual abuse that was detailed by the committee constitutes a Class A felony, by the way. All right. So that kind of wraps up the 1990 portion. Callie, do you want to get us started in 1992?
No, you keep going with 1992.
Okay.
Thanks.
So guys, in 1992, Rick
Birth
gets
year, Julia.
why? Huh?
I said, your birth year, Julia.
Hey, lots of stuff happened for Rick and for me. I was born and he got a DUI. Woo-hoo!
Woo!
So, and also he was divorced. He got divorced by Michelle. Michelle was like, listen, this is it. No. So this is like a formalization of what was kind of going on 2 years prior in 1990. They got separated. Now formal divorce proceedings are happening. And guess what? Rick did. He started going to AA, and then he started running. He began running. Running is going to be a theme for the rest of his story. Running barefoot. Okay.
Yes.
So in 1992, he recommitted to Jesus. And at that time, claimed to be giving up alcoholism by, quote, putting the plug in the jug. Over the next few years, he rebuilt his life. He graduated with honors from a real school, University of Missouri, Kansas City, with a bachelor's in journalism. So he's got a real degree going on here, real school. So that's a step up right there.
So impressive.
But during all this time, it's when he developed his passion and love for running, which turned into a passion for barefoot running.
And why did he barefoot run, Julia?
Well, as a recovering alcoholic and Christian, he tried to use his barefoot running as the focal point of his ministry to others. So,
Well, and also the fact that he had really bad knees, and he claimed that wearing tennis shoes made him overstrike or heel strike, which, put a lot of pressure and anxiety, like I clearly have lost words, but it messed up his knees. He didn't like that. So he thought that it was better to run without shoes. So
and be at risk to step on glass while being in full
That sounds
stride.
so smart, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
So this running, yeah. So obviously,
oh my God,
I'd want that in my bed for sure.
Yum.
that's
Yummy.
really gonna get the lady to you.
Yeah, it
He's probably
is.
got hobbit feet now.
Yeah, he's probably burned his feet so
Oh
bad.
yeah,
from,
hot pavement
asphalt.
running in the summer. Oh,
Mhm.
Oh, fuck that. Sorry, y'all. Don't catch me running, but also don't catch me running barefoot.
No.
maybe barefoot in the
grass.
grass when playing with water balloons and having fun
Yeah.
outside with friends, but like on pavement for a 5K, you're gonna
Mm-mm.
lose your arch. You're gonna step on things. It's just a really bad idea.
That's so bad for your feet. His feet are gonna feel so crusty. Sorry, I can't get over it.
Crusty.
Oh, Christ.
I wonder if he gets pedicures.
You need some?
Yeah. So basically, in 2001, so we're jumping from 1992 to 2001, an investigation was conducted by the Jackson County Office of the Division of Family Services, that is a mouthful, wherein they found probable cause that sexual maltreatment of the child had indeed occurred. So when you have probable cause, we'll talk about that later, but just keep that in the back of your mind that there was enough evidence present to make them believe that this had happened. In 2003, a legal dispute between Rick and Michelle Keller, his ex-wife, wherein during the deposition, she said and testified that Anastasia was molested in 1990, but Anastasia didn't tell her until 1993. Anastasia also confirmed the testimony. He said, "You can't tell anyone. I'll go to jail and the whole family will be in trouble," she told the Star editorial board. The Star asked Roeber if he had given a sworn deposition in connection with allegations. He did not respond. This was also the year in which Missouri's Child and Abuse and Neglect Review Board wiped the charges and said that they overturned the findings. Great. So basically, yeah.
That's just some bullshit, truly.
And that's the thing is like you have this situation where the probable cause has been found that this actually happened. The fact that we don't know why they overturned it, I mean, that's going to bug me for a long time. But the deliberations are confidential, and the Kansas City Star, even though they tried to get the deposition, they couldn't get access to it. So, I mean, it is what it is. We will never know, but I'm still like horribly curious. So they were denied the access to the documents about the case. So then 2006 rolls around. He began to write his personal experiences, devotionals, and how the Lord has set him free. See, he wrote like a series of like Barefoot Rick Roeber about the bare soul. Get it?
Barefoot,
Bare soul.
Mm-hmm. Soul part.
He shared his story with national and local media, churches, running groups, homeless shelters, and he would run for various charities. So in 2007, Roeber admitted to his alcoholism and addiction during the 80s and early 90s. So let's skip to 2015. Julia, what happened in 2015?
So he gets married again to Rebecca. She served as a member of the Missouri House of Representatives from 2015 up until 2019. In 2019, Rebecca was in a car accident on March 25th, breaking 18 bones. She was hospitalized and in critical condition after the crash. Rebecca felt like she was going to recover strong and had shared plans with the public that she was going to run for re-election in 2020.
See her little campaign ad, Julia, here where it says it's no accident. Rebecca Raber will continue to work for the 34th district. I mean, they put out print and ad material.
Yeah.
So sounds like things were improving to me, but
yeah. So she had been released. She had recently been released from rehabilitation. And there were signs that she was like healing quickly. She was doing well. She was strong and dedicated and ready to move forward. But then suddenly when they're vacationing, she dies in her sleep. And guess what? The cause of death is marked as unknown. And to us, it's unclear whether there was an autopsy performed. You know, we really couldn't find records on that.
So we're wildly speculating here, Skylar, but wildly.
There's zero physical evidence that we're going off of, just to be clear. This is all speculation.
But I think he murdered her.
Yeah.
I don't even know this guy very well, but he did it. So
he seems sketch.
And that's the tea, folks.
Okay.
As you sip. I love it. That's great. Anyway, but no, yeah. So pretty sure that's our hunch. This was no accident. So cause of death unknown. She passes away on July 30th of 2019. So the crash itself happened back in March.
Mm-hmm.
She came out of rehabilitation. There were signs of improvement, and then unknown cause of death after that suddenly while they're in vacation.
It's really weird. It's just so weird. I don't like it.
Between March and July, when like the amount of recovery she's had to have gone through, it's like, wait, what? Anyway, so
Whatever.
Guess what Rick decides to do, Skylar?
What does he do? Tell me.
He decides to run for the open seat in the Missouri House of Representatives.
What a coincidence.
So he says, quote, "I don't like putting off until tomorrow what can be done today. She would understand that in the midst of my grief, it is important to me, keeping her memory and legacy intact." Sounds like a ploy.
Meanwhile, she's like haunting him in his sleep. Like,
I hope she is. I hope that's a thing. Anyway, so 2020, Rick runs for a seat in the Missouri House of Representatives, the seat which was originally held by his wife.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
They have things.
Maria had some shit to say.
Now, someone walked in the door, their favorite person, so now it's just mayhem. There's just he's their favorite. Makes me feel super special.
That's fine.
Anyway, continue, Julie.
Okay. So he just like unabashedly runs for the seat under a banner of an unapologetic conservative, ordained pastor, and former chaplain. He was the only candidate endorsed by Missouri Right to Life PAC. We'll come back around to that later. Once his children learned of his candidacy, they united and shared their history of abuse with the press. Now, let us discuss these allegations.
Okay.
While Kelly says okay.
You
Kelly,
go right ahead.
Go for it.
Well, let's see here. While Raber had adamantly denied the allegations, the clear and consistent testimonies by his...
can't settle on a way to pronounce it.
Leave me alone. It's
what's your opinion?
It's R-O-E.
Honestly, it's O-B.
R-O.
Let's say Raber. Raber just really doesn't sit well on...
I know. Yeah.
I'm going to say it my way. So while Roeber has adamantly denied the allegations, the clear and consistent testimonies by his ex-wife and children have been corroborated and deemed legitimate because they brought all this forward. They were not going to sit and let this happen.
And just a side note to that, it's really hard, even with real testimonies, for them to be formally legitimized.
Yep.
So if they're legitimate and they're deemed that way, you know there's some actual shit on the table. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going, Kelly. Go.
And guys, remember, this is super recent, like literally within the past year, this has just been going down.
Yeah, you and I started discussing this about a month and a half ago. Like,
yeah, we did. And stuff was still happening in relation to this, Skylar. So it's been kind of exciting to see things happen. But the memories provided during the testimonies during the deposition mirror the original claims made by like the kids and the ex-wife in the original deposition that Michelle Keller gave in 2003 during the legal dispute with Rick. And then she had testified during that deposition that the abuse had taken place during the scheduled visitations between Rick and the children. So, he was taking advantage of this visitation during their separation and then their divorce.
Gotcha.
So she had said, I'm saying something in addition here to the facts. I want to just take a side note. I'm sure she is right, and I'm sure she's telling the truth about she claims to have not known about this stuff, and like Anastasia hadn't told her about the abuse. But I don't know, according to these other testimonies by these other kids, how she could have not known like physical abuse. Even if she didn't know about the sexual abuse, I don't know how she couldn't have been aware when she was married to him that abuse was happening. I just don't understand it.
Because if you're an alcoholic, it's really hard to put your behavior on check. Even like if you are trying to manipulate someone, if you're drunk, there's not a lot of control. So like you're just going to be in a rage around everybody. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to be in a rage around her, so she doesn't know. You're just drunk, so you're just going to do it. So she had to have seen it.
Yeah, she either that or she knew it was happening and left so that she could be like, well, I wasn't there, but like fully knew.
Yeah. Who knows to what extent she knew, but I think since his behavior seems pretty openly violent and fueled by alcoholism, I would say she saw some disturbing things.
You'd be pretty fucking stupid to not know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, some people in our household could probably have claimed to have never known anything because they're always gone at work, but no, you knew.
Skylar, that's the tea.
Culpable.
There we go.
So basically, even when they were all interviewed separately by the Star editorial board, Michelle, Samson, Anastasia, and Gabrielle's memories are clear and consistent with each other, as the claims were examined in a sworn deposition nearly 2 decades ago. So their stories hadn't changed. Even when they're interviewed separately, everything kind of fits together really, not like rehearsed, but it's consistent. He beat the shit out of us all of the time, Samson said. Also, he would hold us by our necks and hold us against the wall. He made me place my hand on his genitals, Anastasia said of the 1990 incident in Rober's home. I just froze. Sometime later, Rober asked his daughter if he could touch me, she said. Samson said he suffered physical abuse from Rick as a child. He told the Star that he wasn't sexually molested, but that my father's always been physically abusive and that he's always had a temper. So, I mean, like I said, she knew something. Keller said the fourth sibling, who did not agree to speak to the Star on the record, claimed sexual abuse by Rober. In that case, after an investigation had been completed, the Jackson County Office of the Division of Family Services in 2001 had found probable cause that the sexual maltreatment of the child had occurred. So we're coming back around to this. Let's dig a little deeper. According to the definition of probable cause, according to Brett A. Podolsky outlined on his legal practice site, he says, in its most basic form, probable cause means that it is more probable than not that a particular circumstance occurred. For example, in order to arrest a person, the police must believe that it is more probable than not that the person committed a crime. Probable cause remains the initial standard of proof that applies for arrests, warrants, searches, and seizures. He also writes that for prosecutors to pursue a criminal case such as sexual assault of a child or indecent exposure, enough evidence against a person must exist to support a finding of probable cause. It should be noted that a person may not be convicted of a crime without showing a showing of reasonable doubt. For there to have been probable cause found in the original investigation into Rick and his sexual misconduct speaks volumes. So I'd be just so curious to see these documents stating like what exactly was found.
Yeah.
So, all right, Julia, tell us.
2 years later, following a hearing, Missouri's Child Abuse and Neglect Review Board overturned the finding. The basis for the decision is not clear from the available record. The chairperson of the review board at the time, Kathy Bargian. I will never get
These
her
last
name right.
names, man.
Said Kathy said she did not recall the case and could not comment. This is an unconscionable dereliction of duty held by this review board. Absolutely. Kathy and the rest of the board failed these children, and there is no other way of putting it. The entire family has been destroyed by Rick's actions, even harming their relationships between each other as siblings. Gabrielle says she is estranged from her brothers because Roeber used me, I guess, as his little stooge. I would tell him little things that happened at my mother's house, and he would use that to punish the boys. My brothers hate me.
I mean, does that sound familiar or does that sound familiar?
Sounds familiar.
That does sound familiar, guys.
So Michelle Keller, the first wife, the mother of the children, she's moved to Mexico. None of the family is involved in politics in Missouri or the Kansas City region. Reconstructing events of 30 years ago is difficult, particularly when it comes to abuse cases. Records have either long since disappeared or erased,
That's
covered up.
fucking.
And some of those,
I said it's just crazy how they lose those things or they just go missing.
Oh, where did that evidence go?
Right. Did it just go missing and it's totally not even a big deal? Like that's never made sense to me.
No. And then, there, of course, the people that were involved in the original investigation have either moved on, retired, or deceased. So, and then also surviving records that do exist may be confidential. So, but the current on record allegations from Rick's adult children and his former wife are the same as the ones made long before he ever decided to run for office. They are credible. They do not appear politically motivated since they were first made decades ago.
Tell it.
He was out of control,
Tell it.
Said Gabrielle.
Yeah. So basically, the allegations were so public, in fact, that, let me pull this up, you guys. I think the story is so juicy, I don't know if you guys are getting how juicy this is, especially the fact that
I hope somebody starts an investigation into Rebecca's death.
I really would like to see that.
Because I listen to quite a few crime podcasts, but it feels like whenever there's fucked up things happening, it happens in Kansas a lot. Do you guys notice that?
Midwest?
I've noticed a huge pattern with Kansas having a lot of fucked up cases with different stories I hear. And I didn't know if you all ever heard the same thing. If you all noticed that pattern too, or if it was just me.
I hear it from all over the place, but it is some of the weirdest ones. Some of the more off the chain ones are from Midwestern states. It seems of course, that's not
Oregon. Oregon too. Yeah.
It's so fucking weird.
It is weird. Or Florida. I mean, basically, the U.S. is a cesspool, an absolute cesspool of crime and misconduct. So really, we haven't taken a close enough look at Kentucky yet, but
yet.
Who is
We
this
will.
blonde
There.
woman on the screen? She looks intolerable, but she got to be.
I don't know what her personality is like, Skylar, but that is Representative Solon. Representative Sheila Solon, the Republican chair of the House for Children and Family Committees, came forward during the race. So when he was running initially and the kids were like, don't let this happen, and they went public. She came forward during the race and made the following statement in an effort to get Rick to withdraw his bid from office. These are very disturbing and upsetting accusations. I believe the victims. This isn't a Democrat or Republican issue. It's about protecting and believing children. His children are doing a very brave thing in speaking out. He needs to withdraw from the race for the sake of everyone. 3 of Rick's 4 children, let me go to the correct screen, wrote a brave letter revealing the years of abuse they had endured and expressing outrage over Rick's bid for office to the incoming House Speaker, Rob Viskova. Part of this letter pleads with Rob. As the highest office holder in the Missouri House, we are begging you not to allow this to happen, the letter said. You have the power to uphold the honor of our government in a time that trust and hope is waning. Please do what is right, not just for us, but for all those in Missouri who have suffered and all the children you have sworn to protect. The allegations raised questions about whether Roeber was fit for office. At a minimum, the claims should have been important information for voters to consider before casting their ballots in the race. In an emailed statement, Roeber denied any abuse. He called it parental alienation syndrome, PAS. It's a very real mental illness in today's world.
That cannot be.
Julie, you want to look that up real quick?
Is this legitimate?
I mean, he said that it's a very real mental illness in today's world, so that must be a thing. Julia's slicking.
We're fact checking.
He said, our lawyer's deposition revealed the lies of my children and their mother. Okay.
What?
Seeing as they were called credible.
Parental alienation syndrome.
What is it, Julie?
At socialworktoday.com. Let's see. It is a set of strategies that okay, hold on. Parental alienation is a set of strategies that a parent uses to foster a child's rejection of the other parent. Parental alienation syndrome develops in children who come to hate, fear, and reject the targeted parent as someone unworthy of having a relationship with them.
Don't tell mom about this.
Oh,
I
God.
was about to say, does this sound familiar, guys?
So is he claiming Michelle has caused parental alienation?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I'm confused here. Who's alienating him?
Yeah, he's saying that
Alienated himself. Come on, let's be honest, Rick.
he's the victim here, okay, guys? Clearly.
Wow.
So quickly going back to the point made earlier about the Missouri's Right to Life PAC, and then I'll let Julia take over. This is just my own 2 cents, which we all know is not worth even 2 cents. I find it very important to include this since the allegations against Rick by his children had already gone public, asking him to drop out of the race. Why would an organization whose entire mission is about protecting life
True.
back a man who has already broken that sacred bond to care for and protect his own children?
Well,
so regardless of my thoughts on
question,
Yeah.
what is the life that they are? What is the right to life they are protecting? Fetuses.
the right to be born.
the right to come
But
out.
fuck the people who are alive and
Right.
need true protection. Let's
Or the
take care of
children.
that embryo.
Yeah. That's,
Everything that's just in that's in like what is it? Incubator mode.
mhm.
Incubator mode, protect it. Outside of it, it's at its, it'll figure it out. It has to figure it out,
Yeah.
Life's not easy, folks.
Well, get us into the current. What's leading into the current?
Well, so we've reiterated this a couple times. He's strongly denied these specific abuse allegations, although he has been transparent about the addictions and the alcoholism that he had in the 80s and early 90s. Does this indicate that he didn't think anything was wrong with beating and molesting his children? Or does this paint a picture of a man who knew what he was doing the entire time and actively denying it, knowing it was too big of a sin to come clean about, even in all of his religious
proselytizing?
What the fuck, Kelly? What is this word?
Sorry, I
Kelly,
wrote that.
I was homeschooled. I know you were too, but listen.
Oh no! What's the word? What's it?
Proselytizing.
Proselytizing. What is
Yeah,
it?
like
I'm gonna Google this, Kelly. Don't throw big words at me.
I wonder if this word would fall under Jason's 5-star words.
So,
okay, guys, girls,
it's the action of attempting to convert someone from one religion, belief, or opinion to another.
Oh shit!
Like an
That's
apostle.
the term for it?
Yes,
I knew that.
Anyways,
so much. Thank you for the.
All right,
Kelly,
Jilly,
do you want
go.
me to reread that, or
No, it's fine. Just keep
is
going.
it fine?
Yes.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just
rereading
kidding.
it. Okay.
Well, I'm not cutting this part because I just don't care. So you're gonna have to just reread it, I guess.
Okay, so moving on. January 9th, this year, 2021, he was sworn in, but then swiftly barred from sitting on the House Republican caucus before the 2021 legislative session began. This prevented him from serving on committees or receiving prime office space in the Capitol, typically reserved for the majority party. The House Ethics Committee began an investigation into the allegations against Rick. April 2021, sword of justice, ? An investigation is conducted about the charges raised. As part of the investigation, lawmakers found out that Roeber has weekend visitations with a child, his step-grandchild, around 12 years old. In response, Vescovo and Ethics Committee Chairman Travis Fitzwater on April 6 wrote to Jackson County Prosecutor Jean Peters Baker, asking her to notify local law enforcement who can check on the child. Vescovo Representative Travis Fitzwater, the chair of the Ethics Committee, contacted the prosecutor, Jean Peters Baker, expressing concern about his time with an underage child. Kelly, why is this listed twice?
Julia, I'm not infallible.
Just a little bit differently. It's the same thing written with different words. And I was like, I've said the same thing already.
Fine, you write it next time.
I'm just playing. Sorry.
Yeah, Miffy.
So the House Ethics Committee, they formally recommended that Representative Rick Roeber be expelled from the House after finding that he physically, sexually, and mentally abused his children when they were as young as 5 years old. His children. I mean, it's obviously awful for it to happen to anyone, but it's just when it comes to sexual abuse, it is just a next level of disturbing when it happens between a father and their child.
When 5 too.
5.
Like,
yeah.
Something is seriously wrong with you. Like,
well, and in addition to that, I mean, it's like just this piece of the story is disturbing enough, but then you add in everything else, and then his wife Rebecca, who died, and like all of this stuff. It's just like it just gives you a real gross feeling. The committee had said that it found records and testimony confirming that one child was sexually abused at 5 and the other at 9. And they said they reviewed all like the 200 pages of documentation that basically from that 2003 deposition, like when they had first taken this to the court. The sexual abuse detailed to the committee constituted the Class A felony. I was sexually abused by him. I was physically abused by him. I was groomed by him from a very young age. He treated me more like a companion. When we would ride in the car, he'd have his hand on my upper thigh, just kind of rubbing it, one of Rober's children told the ethics committee.
Dude, that sounds so similar to what I was hearing about Bill Gothard when I was deep diving into that whole cult last week.
Did you read that article?
Oh my God. Dude, I read the article. I've listened to
Seriously.
I've listened to several podcasts and then YouTube videos of the surviving children who grew up in those cults. It's
really
wild. Yeah, they said that about Bill too, that he would groom them and get super close to them in a really sexual way. And it just is so weird to see that pattern of men in this religious role of power. And that's
except those weren't his kids. Those weren't Bill Gothard's kids, but still it's messed up no matter how you look at it. Yeah. But he did surround himself with
theme.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I mean, must be Jesus.
It's what God wanted.
Yes. It's serious.
No, I don't think that these men, part of me really doesn't think that they believe in the religion at all.
No.
I feel like
they just like to abuse their power.
Opportunity to, to cover up or to use as it's their act. It's their act. They're putting together a character, and
it's their cover story. It's their cover story.
Yeah.
And people generally will respect people or listen to people who claim religious standing. So it's I don't know, is it the religion that attracts these people or these, that these type of offenders, or is it coincidence or what? I don't know. I just think that they take advantage. A lot of these guys just take advantage of the religious standing.
Part of me wonders.
I totally agree.
And I don't know what you think, Skylar, with all the reading you've been doing lately. She's read so many books on mental health and the science behind stuff. So in my mind.
Sorry. Did you guys see that documentary on Netflix, a docuseries about the Mormons?
No,
I haven't watched it yet, but I did.
Oh, shit.
Is it juicy?
Kind of like the segue of what I'm saying.
This total side note. But is it true that Mormons believe sex before marriage is bad, but they will allow the boy to just sit in there and they call it soaking or something, and that's not considered sex? Okay, is it okay? So I've heard. Okay, lovely.
I can't confirm that or deny.
I didn't know if it came up in the docu-series about that.
The docu-series was murder among the Mormons. It wasn't about Mormonism. It was about this guy in this circle of the higher up Mormons who crazy.
Well, that's kind of like the book that I read recently. It was about Mormons. Read Under the Banner of Heaven. It's like a true crime. I mean, it's talking about some murders and basically just the fact that the religion is based on basically encouraging violence and violent acts against people who oppress their beliefs. So it's actually an extremely good read. I would recommend it. I was blown away the whole time. It kind of takes you back in history to kind of some of the early teachings, and then it takes you to modern day, and then it also takes you to why am I forgetting the name of the brothers? Essentially, these brothers went and brutally murdered this wife who she kind of had gotten away. She had asked for a divorce or something, and maybe that's not exactly it. Don't take my word for it. Anyway, they killed this woman and her little baby infant.
Oh my God.
Damn.
That's brutal.
Yeah, for the Lord, because the Lord was talking to them and telling them.
Oh, of course.
The Lafferty brothers, look it up. Anyway, it's fascinating.
Wow.
But we're going back to Missouri. So they claim, the state of Missouri has failed these children for over 20 years. Although the committee cannot change the past, this committee can provide a clear record of respondents' abusive conduct. So the ethics committee, they said Roeber called the allegations a setup. He was combative and defensive, defiant, and at times angry in his testimony. He said his children were Democrats. The committee did not find his testimony to be credible. It's a hit job.
Political sabotage.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite part, and I'm going to then turn this over to Julia. Okay, so the committee unanimously recommended expulsion and other sanctions by the House. It is also noted in this in the report that state statute allows a sexual offense committed against a minor to be prosecuted at any time. That's that. So we're talking about something where you're not just talking about kind of like with the 18 kids and counting guy, where it's like the statute of limitation. No, this can, if there's probable cause for this, then looks like we can investigate this at any time. So look at these signatures. This is so nice to see. These are all of everybody, both Republican, and this is a committee that's heavily Republican. They unanimously, this is the second time in history that someone has been kind of excluded or kicked out of the House committee. And the only other time it happened was during the Civil War. So weird. I mean, it's pretty historic. Honestly.
This is an historical moment for
so
sure.
Just look at all those signatures. It's just so nice
to see them doing that amongst their own is what is uplifting to me. Because I hate how when there are legitimate issues like this that need to be handled, too often it's seen that it becomes like a party issue, and then it's us versus them. And it's not saying, hey, we are responsible for our representatives within our own party. We need to make sure that they're vetted. Like, we hold them accountable because they represent us. We represent everybody. So it means a lot to see, especially, Roeber, I am a Democrat-ish, just definitely not a Republican, but even I can say that like it says a lot with the Republican Party, especially going, hey, no, man, we're going to hold you accountable. And that means a lot to me.
Don't forget, you guys, this is also happening like in the era of the Trump era. I mean, even now, I would still call this the Trump era, where everybody has
there's still
Trump,
like remaining effects from what's happened.
Trump syndrome. The Republican Party cannot separate itself from that. But so this is
these guys are really trying.
This is encouraging to see where they're able to police themselves and kind of say, hey, we don't agree with this. We don't stand with this. So that I deeply respect, even if I don't respect their politics. But anyway, continue, Julie.
So, let's see here. According to the report, Roeber's ex-wife testified that her first child, who was adopted by Roeber, reported Roeber had abused him or her. Police were called and interviewed the family, but no criminal charges were filed. Another child disclosed the sexual abuse to the ex-wife in later years, as well as to a therapist. The Division of Family Services and local law enforcement investigated the allegations and found probable cause that the abuse occurred, but no criminal charges were filed, according to the Ethics Committee report. The former wife and a child also reported Roeber drowned multiple puppies and beat one of his children, who has a permanent scar from being struck by a nail in a board. The committee said it found their testimony to be credible. He drowned puppies.
Y'all, I know it's one thing to like abuse kids and I'm over here and I'm like, that shit's crazy. But like animals, are you fucking crazy?
Yes,
Yeah.
he
I have
is.
no toleration for that. I'm like, you're an awful person.
I wouldn't say crazy, cruel.
Cruel. Yeah, really,
This
really
crazy
cruel.
is like out of control. This guy has enough control to try to control his image. That's not crazy. That's cruelty.
No, you're right.
Mhm.
You're totally right. I'm just like mind blown.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
same. When we first read that, I was like,
Puppies.
Cream corn. I'm sorry you had to hear
he
that.
wants to weigh in. Offended.
Yeah, weigh in, cream corn. What do you feel? What are you feeling right now?
Please.
Oh, that face is killing me. So Roeber sent a letter of resignation. This is where it
This
gets
is where it gets so funny.
this gets
Oh,
so
yeah.
delightful. So he sent a letter of resignation to House leadership saying he planned to move out of state with his fiance. How did he get a fiance? To be closer to other
And that
family
happened,
members.
Kelly, note that happened very fucking quickly.
Wait, so hold on. This is the third relationship he's on then, right?
Yes, but so Rebecca died July 30th of 2019. So
And then suddenly 2020, he's got a fiance.
So this is super recent.
Yeah,
yes.
that's also what made us think very sus. Situation sus.
That's what I'm saying. Super sus.
I feel funny using that
somebody
word.
somebody with authority, please look into this.
Seriously, like this, we need.
There's enough probable cause here.
As previously officially explained,
we have the receipt.
Yeah, check it.
Check
somebody.
The receipt.
So he sent this letter, right? We must stop and point out,
Go ahead and hint what this letter is kind of like, what he thinks he's trying to do with this letter. He's trying to what?
Well, I'm going to let Skylar, I'm going to let you figure this one out. So he sent this letter.
Okay.
He sent this letter before this committee conducted their investigation. So this is when it's all kind of hitting the fan, whatever. So we must stop and point out here that the entire House had unanimously rejected his resignation letter in order to conduct the investigation thoroughly into all allegations.
He was trying to moonwalk out of there. He was trying to
like, we're going to check first before you head out.
Yeah, no, you don't get to leave yet.
I love that they did that, though.
Because the resignation is also an admission of guilt, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah.
And they're like,
I just see him trying to moonwalk out of there and then being like, bitch, stop. And he's like, what? I'm not doing anything.
Oopsies. So at the time, they had said they were appalled and disturbed by the details uncovered by the committee, and they were ashamed of the way the system had failed to protect the children from harm. Our caucus and our institution have a zero tolerance policy for anyone who endangers the well-being of a child, and it's clear that Rick Roeber's heinous actions made him not only unfit for office, but should also make him the subject of a thorough investigation by law enforcement, Fitzwater and Vescovo said. To that end, we have communicated with the appropriate law enforcement officials to share our concerns about the risk he may pose to other children. So, with his resignation today, we take an important step to protect the integrity of the House as an institution, but it's far more important that we do all we can to seek justice for his children and to ensure he never again causes harm to another child. His resignation allows him to walk away from his duties as a representative, but we cannot allow him, once again, to walk away from the children he victimized.
Well said.
Hey, redemption.
So,
That's big.
as close as we're going to get when it deals with issues of abuse and neglect to children, I feel like this is kind of the best scenario that we can expect.
Oh, absolutely. This was the best scenario. Absolutely.
Well, usually it just gets brushed under the table and like,
yeah, kind of like the second report was overturned. Kind of like that. And finally it was like third time's the charm. This committee was like, all right, no, sir, you sit your ass back down. Let's go into this one by one. And he's like,
God, he's so gross. I hate looking at his face.
Before I let Julia read this last paragraph before we close out, I do want to let everyone know that he has been interviewed on Fox News and before all this happened, and on the 700 Club, there's a special about his the barefoot running. We'll put all this on the website. We watched the 700 Club one, but that's all I could take, and then maybe like 3 seconds of the Fox News one.
I'll tell you,
do with that.
That's what that's what mentally ill a mentally ill person looks like. You see and hear the story and the way he describes everything, and you just get to hear it.
What was his demeanor like on TV?
You need to watch it. You need to watch it, see for yourself, because you'll be like, I'm looking at mental health right now.
Yeah, you see all the signs.
I mean, the thing is, before we finish, I mean, like, this is in no way at all to expunge Rick from his actions. However, it is a good thing to point out that, it's a good thing to emphasize why taking care of mental health and overcoming traumas from your past is so important, because look what it did to him. It's not saying that it
leaked into his life and took over.
Yeah. And I'm curious where the specific abuse came from, because a lot of times it's learned behavior. So
typically, like for child molestation, more so you see it from people who were molested as children. So
yeah,
it's more typical from males who have been molested to do that.
Yeah. And so it's not usually talked very prominently about how men get molested a lot too. Usually it's like more so about women, but like men get a lot of that shit too.
Toxic masculinity is, I think, the culprit for why so many men have been unable to come forward, or boys, young men, been able to come forward with any feeling like something's going to happen, because there's this whole thing about needing to be macho, needing to, like it's something about their against their masculinity. If something like that happened to them, and if they can't handle it, then it's like, oh, you're a man, man up or whatever. So it's like, you're right. It's not talked about enough, because they probably haven't come forward about it.
Well, just like we normalize, I don't want to say normalize, but when you have a female teacher who's in like her 30s, have like an illicit relationship with one of her students, whether they be a high school student or a middle school student, we normalize that to be like, oh, I bet that kid was having fun. Like, like we don't see it as much of a...
You had a hot teacher. You're lucky, bro.
Yeah, it is. We're really tough on men to come forward and to be honest about what's happened to them and to deal with their trauma. So these patterns do cycle over and over and over and over. But before we get your final opinions on this, Skylar, Julie, you want to close this out? And then I'll go ahead.
Finally, according to the ethics report, Vescovo and Fitzwater alerted the Jackson County prosecutor, noting concern for a step-grandchild Roeber would regularly see. The committee initially unanimously voted to recommend expulsion, and Roeber was given until April 12th to accept or reject the recommendation. He objected and requested a formal hearing, the report said, but while preparations were underway for the formal hearing, Roeber submitted his resignation. Kelly, there we go. Nice try, Slick Rick. Not so fast. Even
get in the bin.
As said in the 700 video and the Fox one, all of the videos that that give this backstory. All of them included the same theme. Even finding Jesus and running 1,300 miles, Rick still couldn't outrun his addictions and demons.
Yeah. Look at him in that garbage can.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, I know it's because he's a public figure that this kind of got escalated to this level. But can I just say that I'm grateful for how they were handling this, how,
Absolutely.
unanimously everyone acted on this. I mean, I only wish that he hadn't been elected into office.
Oh, yeah.
But
this gave them a good opportunity to really show their true colors. And at least the Missouri State House of Representatives seem to be on the right track based on this situation. And it gives us a little bit of hope, I think. It's like, okay, they're not all terrible.
So this is currently an ongoing investigation at the moment.
The investigation is concluded.
That's what it would seem.
Now,
well, the committee's
like what's ongoing is the criminal aspect.
Yeah.
Well, there's another prosecutor who's looking into this further. Right. So that's why I think that there is still ongoing investigations, but it's not by the committee here.
Right. The committee hearing, the House of Representatives, that's done. The ethics committee, all that.
Gotcha.
But so Skylar, what do you think about today's story?
I think that.
How do you feel?
Well, I feel glad that it ended on a little bit better of a note than I expected, because typically with these stories, it's like unresolved stuff. And then they're like, oh, well, and you're like, great, no justification. So a little bit better, but it's still so expected that it came from somebody in a place of power. It never surprises me when I hear about a guy with these type of patterns and stuff.
What's funny is he didn't even get to keep that position of power or even exercise it for very long. That's what's the best part of it. It's like,
that's the best part for me is I'm like, hey, at least it just didn't go on for ages and ages and ages and just continue to get ignored. So that's good. But it's just so funny.
It's almost like
not surprising.
Yeah.
It's almost like Marjorie Taylor Greene getting stripped. And I'm going to be good. I'm not going to take this super political. I know you guys hate it when I do it. But I just find it interesting that people like her and him, even though they have been elected into these positions, they're party members, their same party members. So their fellow Republicans have removed them from committees that allow them to make decisions. So the only way that they can actually interact in the space, it's almost as if they have no job to do. They're like, you've been put into this position, but we're not going to allow you into any kind of decision making. We just can't. So you're just sitting there like, okay, when do I get to do anything? So now they just have to cause trouble and, try and cry out for attention. I find it interesting. I find it funny. Even their fellow party members are just like, I think not. We're good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Skylar, I wish we could pause this for just a second, long enough for Skylar to watch at least the 700 Club video for her to wrap up her thoughts on this, because...
Do you want me to watch it on my phone?
Yeah, look it up. Yeah. We want to see you watch it. Yeah.
Rick Roeber, the 700 Club.
Okay.
And it'll be him advertising the barefoot running ministry.
Yeah. Rick Roeber.
Uh-huh.
It's quite dramatic. But we've talked about him, so you need to really see it. Hear his story from him.
Watch his body language.
Yeah. But you can tell he is a victim of past trauma. So you're looking at
total unresolved trauma.
And I think that's definitely worth saying, because we like to, Kelly, I know we've talked about humanizing these people before, but I think it's less of humanizing as much as making it a thing where it's like, we've talked about the prison system and it being a cycle of just mental health not being addressed. I think this is that too.
Well, it's good to catch it early on and notice the signs so that people can be more aware if they're seeing patterns in people in their own life, because they can prevent bad things from happening. so that you can kind of step in before things get escalated. But people love to ignore when they see the signs.
Yeah.
So it's good to just keep that on the forefront of just always like.
Yeah, kind of like these very overly Christian families will heavily emphasize that the girls need to be modest, and then they persecute them for what they're wearing. But as soon as the son or somebody actually does something, and then they're like, forget about it.
Well, she might have caused him to want to do that. It's like,
What was she wearing?
what was she wearing? Was she asking for it? My favorite. Okay, which one am I looking for? Because this one says it is 49 minutes long.
No, it was not. It was not 40. No, hold on. The 700 Club.
I just typed in Rick Roeber 700.
Rick Roeber. Barefoot runner racing for a cause. CBN.com. I'm going to copy and paste the link.
Please do. No, I'm too stoned to try to
So
find.
I'm trying to find.
You said you're too stoned.
Where did you read the whole thing, Julia, about the children and then the unknown and the kid that's named Unknown? Did we know whether that the unknown
was
if
really
that was
unknown?
Well, or if it's a male or a female, because I feel like
I think it's a male. I think
I do
it's a
too.
male.
I think so.
Pretty sure it's a male. Not until I look through stuff. I cannot confirm nor deny.
I don't want to, also imply that, I'm not trying to out.
Are you saying something happened there?
Well, they're saying that the one who did not come forward, like the one who refused to be on the news, the one who refused to testify, was sexually abused. And I'm wondering if that has something to do. And we went over that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the one that's not known.
Yeah, I think that part of the reason that we don't know is I feel like there's a good chance that it is a man or it was a boy.
Yeah, for that amount of shame and wanting to not be brought forward. Into
I would agree.
Discussion.
It loops back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that. If I was a son, I wouldn't want that kind of attention either.
Rick Roeber isn't like most marathon runners. He covers the 26 miles on bare feet.
I ran 18 marathons with shoes, and then I started running barefoot marathons. It really forced me to run better, allowed me to run with better form.
He grew up with a father who cheated on his mother and couldn't hold down a job. They had to live in 5 different states before Rick turned 14.
It really fed into my insecurity having to start new schools, and I believe that it was just very hard for me to fit in my formative years.
Drugs helped Rick escape his insecurities and to fit in. He was smoking marijuana, taking LSD, and anything else he could get his hands on. One day, his brother invited him to church. While there, he says he felt compelled to follow Jesus. But soon, he was back to his old habits and felt worse than before.
I totally felt like a failure. I totally felt like I had given up on myself. I was horrified that I was addicted to the things that I thought that I could never be addicted to.
Rick joined the Navy, but after 10 months, he went AWOL and was discharged. With no direction, he hit the highways with a backpack and wandered aimlessly across the country.
I hitchhiked from Florida to California and back. I lived in missions. I lived in places, worked day labor.
He slept anywhere he could find shelter. At times, Rick would think about a better life, one free of his addictions.
I remember one time in New Orleans, I was in a vacant lot and I had 2 mattresses propped up, teepee style. And it was raining, and it was cold, and it was miserable. And I thought, God, if you're there, please rescue me.
While hitchhiking his way from Texas to Missouri, Rick caught a ride with the man who invited him to church. He says it was there he experienced God's love. He also stopped drinking and using drugs.
I walked with God for a year and a half, and it was the most exciting time of my life.
But Rick never got help for his addictions. Eventually, he started drinking again. He was in and out of church and struggling. He wanted God and his addictions too.
I knew Jesus Christ was the answer by that point, but I was still so addicted. I was still so trapped.
Rick married and had 3 children, but he was drinking heavily. After he was busted for a DUI, his wife divorced him. Again, he decided to run and drove to Las Vegas to drink himself to death. But something stopped him.
I got a word from what I call now kind of like a word from God in my heart, saying that if I did this, I would die some ignominious death out here in the desert somewhere, and nobody would even care about me. And that God desperately wanted me to get back to Kansas City to sober up. And I remember shaking and trembling and pouring out the vodka in the parking lot. And I was saying, God, I want to live again. I want to live again.
Rick drove home and started going to Alcoholics Anonymous. There, he finally realized why he had been running.
I didn't like that I knew deep down it was Jesus Christ, because then I would have to admit that I was wrong. That I would have to own up to my mistakes, and also that I would have to put my security in Him. And then I just said, God, forgive me. Forgive me of living this selfish life, thinking that I could control my destiny, thinking that I could live above addictions, thinking that I could live beyond you. That's when things started to change dramatically.
Rick completed AA and has been clean ever since. He earned a college degree and got a steady job and married Rebecca. He's also a chaplain at a local rescue mission where he tells the homeless men there that no matter where you've been, there is hope in Jesus Christ.
I ran from God for years, and now I run with God, and I run to Him. He is the answer to all of life's problems.
Rick ran his 62nd barefoot marathon in Jerusalem. He runs to raise money to help people who were just like him.
If we run to Him, His arms are open. You may not think they are right now, but if you make that first step, if you get out of yourself enough to draw near to God, He's going to draw near to you. There's no doubt about it.
Well, that is the case of Rick Roeber. I kind of listed the kids' names. I didn't see any photos. I found maybe one or two potential photos of the children, but I mean, this isn't about.
I think obviously there are probably no pictures on purpose, and I think we should honor that, because
protecting their
the most important thing
privacy
is highlighting their testimony, not necessarily showing pictures of them, and showing the world exactly who this happened to, because they should still have their own privacy. But
yeah, and it was brave of them to come forward. So a big thank you to the children of Rick Roeber and his ex-wife for not letting it go and seeing like, hey, this guy's running for office. This is our duty to come forward. Anyways, that's the conclusion for that. And Skylar, thank you for joining us and for listening to the story. Hopefully you guys are seeing more effort put into research and kind of organizing things into a better structure of helping you understand the timeline of the story and bringing along some visuals as well.